Hello and welcome to On the Pier, a show brought to you by television and broadcasting students from the University of Portsmouth. I'm Tom Payne.
And I'm Ben Myers. We're here live at the Gaiety Bar on South Parade Pier in Southsea, the big screen in Guildhall Square and the live CCI TV channel. Wherever you are, hello and welcome to the show.
In this show, we're going to be taking a journey through the history of South Parade Pier from the past to the present, as we explore one of Portsmouth's most iconic attractions.
We'll be delving into some of the businesses operating on the pier and also chatting to the surveyor that judged the pier to be structurally safe.
We'll also be having a live performance from Scarlet Town during the show.
But first, we're going to be heading back in time to where it all began. South Parade Pier was first built between 1875 and 1878. It has an interesting story, to say the least. The pier was officially opened by Princess Saxe Weimar. It was originally used as a steamer jetty for passengers wanting to visit the Isle of Wight for over the last 14 decades.
During the early days of the pier, military bands and light orchestras were its primary attractions. In 1885, the pier advertised grand classical, operatic and miscellaneous concerts, which gained a lot of attention. By 1894, the Anglo-Swiss Ladies Orchestra performed, which gave way to many concert parties taking place on the weekends.
By 1902, the concert parties became quite popular, which resulted in plans to extend the kiosks at the entrance to the pier to provide shops, offices and a ladies' cloakroom. This was all suggested by the architect G.E. Smith.
This was an exciting proposal for the future of the pier, but before the works were even carried out, the pavilion was completely destroyed during the afternoon of the 19th of July 1904 by a fire which was started through a lit match being thrown away by a fisherman on the landing stage.
Devastating. Well, of course, this required a full rebuild designed by the same architect, which cost £85,000, which was actually a very large amount of money at the time. The pier was open to a length of 600 feet in 1908. It had a concrete deck and windscreens protecting visitors on all sides.
The pier, featuring a large pavilion, had two halls, one of which was used as a 1,200-seat theatre and the other being used as a cafe during the day and a dance hall at night.
The sea end had a similar pavilion incorporating a bar and a lounge. Steamer trips from the landing stage to the Isle of Wight were a further attraction, where a cruise around the island could be taken.
However, as the threat of war loomed in 1939, the pier was commandeered to be used as a military depot, putting on hold plans for it to be widened in its centre. The pavilion at the entrance to the pier stayed open for dancing, with the exceptions of when the pier was at the forefront of the preparations for the D-Day landings in 1944.
When World War II finished in 1945, South Parade Pier celebrated a record number of visitors that year. Into the 1950s, a steamer service still operated from the pier, which included sailings to Ryde, Shanklin, Southampton, Bournemouth, Swanage and even the Isle of Wight.
After years of success, the pier was damaged yet again by fire in 1967 and the theatre was removed. By the 1970s, the pier offered attractions including the Gaiety Lounge Cabaret Show Bar and the Golden Fry Restaurant. However, on the 11th of June 1974, the pier suffered a third fire during the filming of Tommy, which badly affected the pier and was reopened in 1975 after a £500,000 rebuild.
Ken Russell, the director of Tommy, was originally born in Southampton, and after the destruction of the pier during the making of his film, joked that he would never be allowed back in the city. The pier has a rich history leading up to the 1990s, but most notably, Portsmouth has a tradition of live music entertainment. In the first half of the 20th century, there were a large number of sailors, marines, soldiers, meaning a large number of pubs, music halls and dance halls.
The audience for these events were ever expanding. Throughout the summer, Southsea's seaside industry was thriving with live performances, particularly in South Parade Pier and the Savoy buildings. Though this declined during the war, after the war, the pier came back to life.
There was a good range of entertainment provided through local bands. The 1950s saw the emergence of jazz, and from the mid-1950s, rock and roll exploded onto the scene, showing audiences newer guitar sounds. The 1960s offered popular music in hip and trendy venues. Many famous bands and performers have played here, including Manfred Earth's Earth Band, David Bowie and Genesis.
To learn more, we decided to speak to two people who have strong links to the musical history of the pier, Dave Allen and Nigel Grundy.
My name's Dave Allen. I was born about a quarter of a mile from South Parade Pier. I play in a band now called Scarlet Town, which is a bit like a kind of folk rock stroke singer-songwriter band, really. We've played recently in the Gaiety Bar, which is one of the bits that's been redone and refurbished on the pier. We did a tour of Britain, which was just amazing. I mean, you know, the first night that we did was at South Parade Pier, in the End Bar, which is now a fish and chip restaurant. That was quite lovely. So I've played there quite a lot of times. It's always been real fun.
I'm Nigel Grundy and became chief photographer for one of the biggest electronics companies in the country. There's a photograph I took of the Pink Floyd. They're all sitting on an old sofa in the dressing room, and I took it side on, and it's just them in the line. I also like the photographs I took of Ozzy in the dressing room with the band. That's quite a good picture. Yeah, and also a shot of Alan Price.
The atmosphere inside the hall was that it was a big dark Victorian hall with a balcony, and there was a light show on the balcony which was quite psychedelic, so you couldn't always make out the acts particularly well.
When you look from the stage into the audience, you just see a sea of faces, and it was absolutely packed. So everybody enjoyed those gigs, and they were very, very well attended. Ginger Baker wasn't happy with being photographed. He launched himself across the dressing room, said he hated photographers and he was going to do me an injury, so I got out quick. But when he was on stage drumming and his hair was all over his eyes, I just walked up and took the picture and got the picture.
There was something quite magical about South Parade Pier and that whole environment around there.
Everybody likes it for their own reasons, but I liked it just for the pure nostalgia of it, really. And I stood outside when it burnt down on that day, and being a wooden Victorian building, it just went up like tinder. I took some photographs of the fire engines and the pier burning, and quite a sad day, really.
It is amazing to see just how many people enjoyed the varied music at the pier and the different entertainment that was available here. In honour of the rich music performance history of the pier, we are joined by Scarlet Town, who will be giving us a live performance. Scarlet Town was created in 2015 by a group of passionate local musicians who have lots of experience in playing and recording. They play original music, covers of famous artists, and traditional music in their own style. The band supports a wide array of local events and projects such as the St. Simon's Feed the Homeless charity and the Cow Plains School Jukebox Band. Now over to Tom.
Thanks, Ben. Yes, here today, joining us live are Dave Allen and Dennis Reeve Baker. Hello, guys. Welcome to the show. So before we get started, what do you think is the importance of the music history of the pier?
I think two things, really. One is that it was a classic venue in the 50s when this was a seaside town and there were lots of visitors and there were end of pier shows, and it was all kind of popular entertainment, mixing music with comedians. But then in the late 60s in particular, it became a major rock venue with some really big international acts who came, and in fact the Polytechnic, which is now the university, used to promote a lot of those, so that was a big part.
So what do you think the audiences were most excited about when they came to visit the pier?
I think that probably the uniqueness of the actual space, being able to look out on that great view out there is special, I think. People that came in the 50s, as Dave was saying, would be here as a family, so that would mean a lot to them, this whole environment. But also, of course, the kind of entertainment that was put on was unique as well. The stuff that went on in the pier was a big family entertainment process in those days.
Okay, so there are more members of your band. Can you tell us about those?
Yes, we have an 8-piece band when everybody's there, which includes saxophones and clarinets and flutes, mandolin, dobro. So we provide a range of different kinds of material. We do from kind of blues-inflected stuff right through to original material that we write ourselves.
Okay, so you've done previous performances on the pier. What was it like? What was your favourite thing about performing on the pier?
Well, we once, in 2001, I think it was, we performed here with a really famous American musician who played a couple of times at Woodstock.
Yeah, Country Joe McDonald, his name was. And we played with him, went on tour with him as well, but we played here first of all, for the very first gig he came to, and that was very exciting for us to do that.
Okay, well, thank you. Now we are going to get into your positions, because performing their song Go Cat Go Live, please give a warm welcome to Scarlet Town.
I've been around, well, I've seen the moon. I traveled to the dark side and I used a silver spoon. But now I know for sure, you are the only light that I can see inside this room. Go, cat, go, cut that rug. It gets your heart a-pumping when dancing is the drug. Hit that floor, bust a move. Let's not make a song and dance, let's just find a groove. There's East Coast swing and a waltz from Tennessee. There's cakewalk and there's two-step and jive and 1, 2, 3. But now I know what it should be. There's Fred Astaire, Sid Charisse, and now there's you and me. Go, cat, go, cut that rug. It gets your heart a-pumping when dancing is the drug. Hit that floor, bust a move. Let's not make a song and dance, let's just find the groove. When I was young, I could not get my fill. Me and Daniel Webster used to cut a fine quadrille. But now I know what fits the bill. If the old man in the cloud won't dance, you know that devil will. Go, cat, go, cut that rug. It gets your heart a-pumping when dancing is a drug. Hit that floor, bust a move. Let's not make a song and dance, let's just find the groove. Let's not make a song and dance, let's just find the groove. Let's not make a song and dance, let's just find the groove.
I absolutely loved it. Congratulations. So, did you guys enjoy that?
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
thank
sure.
you, yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys still get nervous?
No,
No, not in front of all these people.
Excited more than nervous,
Yeah.
really.
Excited. Yeah, fair enough.
It gives me a buzz. Yeah.
So let me ask, how did you guys start? How did all this start?
We met at college, a bit like you guys. We were doing degrees in an old college over in Milton, which doesn't exist anymore actually, but it was a teacher training college, and we started playing together there in 1975. We'd been playing in 2 separate bands at the college at the same time, and
Was it always just the two of you?
no.
No, we had a band that was an 8-piece band at that time, which took part in the Tartan Student Sounds competition and won it. We played at Hammersmith Odeon and received lots of tartan beer as a result of that.
Congratulations. Now, just tell me about the first time that you ever played here.
The first time I ever played here was, I think, in 1970, and I was in a local rock band, and we were playing support to a couple of other bands. It was a Portsmouth Polytechnic gig, so that's before the university, you know.
Yeah.
And we played after the main act, so we went on at about midnight, something like that. And that was very exciting. I mean, it was a much bigger venue than this. It was huge because, of course, the old venue got burnt down in 1974. But
I can imagine. Well, listen, we're going to come back to you later.
Yep.
Okay. So right now we're going to head over to Tom.
Well, I really enjoyed that, and I'm sure you all did as well. Now, moving on, and in January 2010, fears were raised over the future of the pier, and the company that owned the pier said that they were looking at ways to improve it. Under new management, in October 2011, plans for a £20 million redevelopment were announced. However, in October 2012, the pier was closed after it was deemed unsafe.
In November 2012, the pier was reported to be up for sale. However, in December, it did not reach its guide price. In November 2013, following an attempt to reopen the pier, Portsmouth City Council closed the pier to protect the public from danger.
A bad storm in February 2014 caused the pier to be damaged and a bit of the end of the pier was broken off.
In January 2015, a public consultation event was held by the South Parade Trust to allow the public to give their thoughts on how it could be redeveloped.
So how did the pier go from being closed due to damage to being open to the public today? I went to find out the steps to the pier being reopened. Since it first opened back in 1879, it's safe to say that South Parade Pier has been through quite a lot, from 3 fires in the 20th century and many years of battling storms. The pier was eventually forced to close after a building survey carried out by Portsmouth City Council stated that the supporting steelwork had corroded to the point at which structural integrity could be lost and was therefore deemed a danger to the public. However, today I've come to meet surveyor Malcolm Belcher to chat about his part in bringing this pier, the Victorian pier, back to its former glory. So, hello Malcolm. Thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome, Thomas.
So, first of all, it's quite evident that a lot of work had to be done to this pier. So where did you start and what was the process in checking the safety of the pier?
Okay, well, in terms of starting with the pier, both myself and the owners hadn't previously worked or owned a Victorian steel structure. So the first thing we had to do is understand what we had actually brought and what we were working with. Then we had to engage specialist structural engineers who were familiar working on cast iron Victorian piers and also piers over water. Once that was in place, we were able to get started with the critical structural works to the pier, and that was in the first quarter of 2014.
Okay, so shall we go and take a look?
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you come to the decision that the pier was structurally safe?
Well, Thomas, that was a very complicated process, but basically we undertook major works to the pier in sections, and when each section of the pier was completed, we then had to apply to the magistrates' courts with the support and approval of the local authority, who then signed off that particular section. And in total there's 5 sections of the pier that we completed, and we got the whole thing made safe in early 2017.
Okay, so were there any notable aspects of the pier that you saw when surveying it? For example, any fire damage, storm damage?
Well, there was significant storm damage, Thomas. The front section of the pier here, where we are now, that's the original part of the Victorian structure. Beyond that, what we call the neck of the pier, that is the buildings that was rebuilt following the 1974 fire, and that is pretty much reflective of modern construction in terms of steel and masonry. The storm damage is what we refer to as the hips beyond the buildings, and that it's that area that we completely rebuilt in mid-2014.
So it's quite evident that there's still a lot more work to be done. So can you tell me a bit about the shore end of the pier and what's planned?
Well, to the end of the pier here, Thomas, this is the boat jetty. And the boat jetty suffered significant damage in the January 2014 storm. This is the last major project for us to complete on the pier, and work on the jetty starts in the next 4 to 5 weeks. When complete, the jetty will be able to receive quite large vessels, and hopefully a lot more people will be able to access the pier via the boat jetty.
Because that's what used to happen, isn't it, before it was damaged?
Originally, the boat jetty was able to receive large paddle steamers capable of carrying up to 200 people at a time. So quite large vessels, at this end of the pier. So really exciting on times ahead once this is complete.
Okay, well it's been great getting to meet you and finding
And
out
you,
more
Thomas.
about the future plans of the pier. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Do
And
feel
I'll-
free to come back and see what we've done in the next couple of years.
Absolutely.
And bring all your friends and enjoy the pier.
Absolutely,
It'd be great to see
yes.
you.
I can't wait to see what the future of the pier holds. I can't wait to come back in a couple of years' time when it's finally finished. But for now, let's head back to the Gaiety Bar. It was great to speak to Malcolm to get such a unique insight into how the pier was made safe for use.
Yeah, all the plans look so exciting. Although it was windy though, wasn't
It
it?
certainly was, yes.
The pier was bought by new owners, and in February 2015 they released their plans to save this iconic attraction. The new owner said that he was going to do all he could to bring the pier back to life. The aim being to allow the public to the full length of the pier to be reopened by the end of the year.
June 2015 saw the owners reveal big plans for South Parade Pier. Funfair rides, restaurants and water games were just some of the proposals revealed in the multi-million-pound development.
After having spent more than £4 million repairing the structure of the pier and refurbishing the building, the new owners announced the long-term future of the pier to the public.
The newly refurbished amusement arcade would be the main attraction of the pier, but work was continuing on the structural elements, including the outside decking, and also on the renovation of the pier's bars, cafes and concert hall.
Fast forward, and in April 2017, the pier was restored and once again open to the general public.
Following the reopening of the pier, the Gaiety Bar was reopened by two investors, Jack Edwards and Trevor Brady, who filled the bar with live entertainment, music and events.
These investors operated under their brand TJ Events Limited, where they encouraged positive changes to the pier since its reopening. The events have already started to become recognised, as this year, South Parade Pier has already won 2018's Pier of the Year.
Fantastic, and rightfully so. The pier is home to a number of unique and exciting businesses, and we decided to take a closer look at some of them and see why the pier is so important for them.
My name is Lisa. I've worked here about 5 years. We do waffles, sundaes, teas and coffees, and we've recently added a seating area so we can open all year round for people to sit in, have a tea and coffee and a cake or an ice cream. I think it is the fact that it is quite iconic and it's been through a lot of changes. It's nice that it's still standing and we're part of the sort of like the refurbishment of it again and hopefully to go forward for a long time. I think it can only go from strength to strength as the pier is, you know, more and more people are setting up businesses on the pier now, which is attracting more tourists to the area. The more things that are on the pier, the better it is for everybody concerned, really.
The pier is important for business because it is our business. You know, the pier sells the view for us and we just show it. It gets the customers in initially and then we show them great service and great food and then they come back after that and that's how we get our regulars. Oh, what I love most about the pier is definitely the views. You know, you can't top the views. You know, you can have some fantastic sunsets, and even storms, stuff like that. It's absolutely fantastic. We get people coming in just to watch the views and enjoy. Oh, the future for Deep Blue definitely is just ever expanding. We're expanding across the country, but the view itself, it just brings in business, and then we're expanding from then on out, really.
My name's Kate. And the shop here, mostly everything in it is fair traded, organic, essential oils, vegan, and that sort of thing. There's a lot of things that are handmade here. Local crafters and makers rent shelves, so they bring their things in. It's nice to have things homemade, handcrafted. This is the only shop that I have. And it's just nice to be here. It's constantly different all the time. Depends on the weather, obviously. I think it's the variety of people that come down here. You get a real cross-section of the community. And whatever the weather, it's nice to be here. Sunny days, it's just nice to come and watch the weather. It's always different.
Oh, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling hungry now. Anyway, although we've shown just a few businesses on the pier, we thought it'd be cool to use this opportunity to mention a few more of the businesses that we haven't seen today. South Parade Pier is also home to Tea on Sea, a cafe serving breakfast, lunch, hot drinks. There's also a high-tide kitchen serving all-day breakfast, baps, wraps and toasties. There's Guy Roland serving really tasty Greek and Mediterranean fast food. Best of British Food sits at the head of the pier, serving everything from burgers and sandwiches to bubble and squeak. And if you are still hungry for more, Alive serves the fresh seafood, hot and cold. If you are looking for entertainment, the amusement arcade has games for the whole family to enjoy. If you're looking for something a little different, why don't you pick up a fishing rod and try out some pier fishing, which is welcoming anglers old and new. Right now, we're in a hub for live entertainment and great food on the pier, the Gaiety Bar. Tom is going to be speaking to one of the proprietors of the Gaiety Bar about their successful reopening and their plans for the future.
Thanks, Ben. Yes, I'm joined outside with the manager, one of the managers of the Gaiety Bar, Jack. Hello, welcome to the show, Jack. So first of all, could you tell me how difficult was it for you to work on renovating the Gaiety Bar, to reopen it and restore it to its former glory?
I'd like to say that it wasn't as difficult as what we originally thought it was going to be. I mean, we first came down and it was like a bomb site, if I'm honest with you.
Oh gosh.
But as you can see now, I mean, it's just, you know, come up beautifully,
Yes.
you know, and the owners of the pier have done a great job. And myself, my business partner, we chose all the colour schemes and putting all the lighting and the sound.
Yeah.
But it, you know, there was slight times when there was a bit nerve-wracking, but you know, we got there in the end, and that started we started talking about it last May, and then we opened in October, and the rest is history.
Yes, so what have you been doing at the Gaiety Bar since it reopened?
Well, we've had lots of stuff going on at the moment. We've got tribute acts, we've got boxing events, sporting events. There's also weddings, people can book their weddings here, birthday parties. There's so much going on. We have tea dances on a Wednesday afternoon. So there's so much variety for everybody. And this is what we want to try and encourage the Portsmouth people to come down and really enjoy, you know, the surroundings. I mean, this beautiful sunshine, this beautiful pier.
Yes.
And we've also just started for our Search for a Star, which was a big tradition years ago when the pier was open. So we've reintroduced that, and that's now in its second week. So that's every Wednesday.
Fantastic. So what are your plans for the future?
Plans for the future, just keep going the way we are. We want to obviously build on what we've got. I mean, this year is a learning curve for everybody. We want the whole pier to be full. You know, it's a community pier. We want the people of Portsmouth down here. We've got all the traders on the pier. You know, we all want to be getting on, you know, and just, you know, entertaining people, not with just, you know, singers and stuff like that, but with food and, you know, with rides, you know, with lots of different, you know, events and lots of different things happening. So
sounds absolutely amazing. So what makes the pier so unique for your business?
Well, I mean, how many cities, towns or whatever, how many have a pier? You know, there's not many around the country. I mean, I think you've got in between. I mean, we're in between Bournemouth and Brighton. I think there might be one round on Southend, Blackpool, obviously. But to have a pier is just something so brilliant for any city or town or whatever. And the fact that we've also won Pier of the Year,
yes,
which, you know, I need to mention. You know, we're so chuffed with that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's really good, and we're really happy.
Okay, so I think you've touched on this as well, but how successful do you think the pier is, and are you excited for its growth in the future for you and your business?
At the moment, the pier is just thriving. The sunshine is just bringing people out. You know, it's been a long winter and we want it to be a long summer. If we can get the people of Portsmouth on the pier, then that will just, you know, create business for everybody, and then the pier can keep going. And the more, you know, support that we have, the more the pier will thrive and be a better place for everybody.
Brilliant. So what do you love most about having your business on this pier, this Victorian fantastic pier?
We're very lucky. I mean, I'm very lucky. As I say, I'm one of the owners, my business partner Trevor. We've got an office in the back room, but I don't sit in that office. I sit next to the window because that, for me, is the best place to be. You've got these beautiful sights, and I just love being here every day. You know, my background is I'm an entertainer, but I'm taking a year off of that because I really want to concentrate on this. And what better way to take a year off than sitting in the sun, putting on events and having the best time.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, I wish you the very, very best for the future, And thanks so much again for coming on the show.
Lovely,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Tom.
Right then, we're going to head back to Ben in the Gaiety Bar.
Well, that is it from us here at the Gaiety Bar on South Parade Pier. We hope you have enjoyed learning about the history and the businesses here on the pier. Don't take our word for it though. Make sure you come down to the pier and explore the fascinating food, views and entertainment. We'd like to give you a big thank you to everyone involved in the show, and playing us out with Lackawanna is Scarlet Town. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.
You had me pacing up and down, chasing round and round. You had me lonesome as a boy can be. You had me. You had me studying the stars, shouting at cars. You had me howling at the moon, full moon. You had me. I've got no money in my pocket, got a memory full of holes. The hairline that's receding, I get cold in winter snow. As I leave this hotel heartbreak and I think I'm doing fine, I got a ticket for Big Apple on that mystery train line.